In a small, peaceful village lived a young girl named Meera. She was kind, hardworking, and always eager to do her best. But there was one thing that constantly troubled her. She was always comparing herself to others. If someone dressed better than her, she felt less confident. If someone performed better at work, she felt like a failure. Slowly, Meera began to lose her happiness. Her mind was always busy thinking about others, what they had, what they achieved, and what she lacked. One day, feeling overwhelmed and restless, Meera decided to visit an old, wise gardener who lived on the outskirts of the village. People often said he had a way of answering questions without directly giving answers. When Meera reached his garden, she was amazed. It was filled with beautiful flowers, roses, sunflowers, lilies, and many more. Each flower looked unique, yet all of them together created something magical. The gardener smiled and said, "Welcome, Meera. What brings you here?" Meera sighed and replied, "I feel lost. No matter what I do, I feel like I'm not enough. There's always someone better than me." The gardener didn't say anything. Instead, he handed her a small watering can and said, "Walk through my garden and water the plants that you think are the most beautiful." Meera happily agreed. As she walked, she carefully chose the brightest and most attractive flowers and watered only them. She ignored the smaller plants, the ones that looked plain or less impressive. After some time, she returned to the gardener. He asked gently, "Did you water all the plants?" Meera shook her head. "No, I only watered the best ones." The gardener smiled and said, "Come with me tomorrow." The next day, Meera returned. To her surprise, some of the plants she ignored had started to wilt. The garden didn't look as vibrant as before. The gardener looked at her and said, "This garden is like your life. When you focus only on others, the ones you think are better, you ignore your own growth. And just like these plants, the parts of you that need care begin to fade." Meera stood silently, absorbing his words. He continued, "Every flower here grows at its own pace. The rose doesn't compare itself to the sunflower. The lily doesn't feel jealous of the tulip. They simply focus on blooming in their own time." Meera felt something shift inside her. The gardener handed her the watering can again and said, "Today, water every plant, especially the ones that need it the most." This time, Meera walked slowly. She paid attention to every plant, even the smallest ones. She realized that each had its own beauty, its own purpose. As days passed, Meera kept visiting the garden, but more importantly, she started taking care of her own inner garden. She stopped comparing herself to others. Instead, she focused on improving herself, learning new skills, taking care of her health, and appreciating her progress. Gradually, her confidence grew. Her mind became peaceful. And most importantly, she felt happy again. Not because she was better than others, but because she was becoming better than who she was yesterday. One evening, as she stood in the gardener said, "Do you see the difference now?" Meera smiled and replied, "Yes, I finally understand. When I focus on myself, I grow. And when I grow, everything around me feels more beautiful." The gardener nodded. "Exactly. Your life blooms when you nurture your own garden." Moral of the story: when you stop comparing yourself to others and start focusing on your own growth, you find peace, confidence, and true happiness.